What's up, WWE fans? You're watching Wrestling Edge Files, where every slam and surprise matters. Subscribe now, and let's roll in. Roman Reigns has finally done what he vowed he would never do before December. The tribal chief, usually a figure of absolute control and calculated strategy, broke his own decree and demanded that the Usos confront him immediately. This action revealed a truth that is often overlooked. Family challenges don't follow a schedule. When the unity of the bloodline is threatened, decisive action becomes unavoidable. Roman's decision to address the situation head-on shows just how seriously he takes both the responsibility of leadership and the preservation of the family legacy he has spent years building. The moment wasn't just a confrontation, it was a statement. The build-up. The tension had been simmering for weeks. Roman repeatedly emphasized that he would not engage with the Usos until December. That boundary, however firm, could not withstand the growing instability within the family. Misunderstandings, disagreements, and separate conflicts between Jimmy and Jey escalated in a way that threatened to destabilize the group entirely. On top of that, the emergence of Paul Heyman's Vision faction created a larger external pressure, forcing Roman to reconsider his timeline. What was initially a self-imposed boundary became secondary to the immediate needs of the family and the bloodline's ongoing survival. Entering the ring. Monday Night Raw became the stage for a defining moment in the Bloodline saga. Roman walked to the ring with a presence that demanded attention without a word. His posture was squared, his expression sharp, and his focus unyielding. Every step conveyed the weight of responsibility and the frustration of seeing a family division where there should have been unity. The audience felt the tension immediately as the silence before Roman spoke was almost tangible. It was a reminder that leadership, particularly in a family as prominent and scrutinized as this, requires not just authority but the courage to face challenges even when they conflict with personal rules. The ultimatum. Taking the microphone, Roman addressed the situation directly. He reminded everyone of his previous rule that he would not engage with the Usos until December, but made it clear that circumstances had changed. "You've dragged this too far. You've left me with no choice," he said, his voice cutting through the stillness with a mix of disappointment and authority. Then, turning to the entrance ramp, he called out for Jimmy and Jey to come forward immediately. What followed visually captured the state of the bloodline perfectly. Jimmy and Jey did not walk out together. They appeared separately, refusing to stand side by side, each representing the division that had quietly grown over weeks of unresolved tension. In that moment, the separation was more than symbolic. It was a concrete signal that the tribal chief was facing not just minor disagreements, but a fracture that could threaten the very foundation of the family disappointment and authority. Roman's disappointment was evident. His words were measured but carried weight, emphasizing both frustration and expectation. "Look at you," he said, addressing his brothers. "While I'm building a team to protect what we've worked for, you continue fighting over the same old disagreements. This ends tonight." There was no malice in his tone, only the authority of someone who had carried responsibility for far too long to allow indecision or petty conflicts to interfere with the greater goal. His message was clear. The bloodline cannot function if internal issues go unresolved. Strength, unity, and focus are non-negotiable, especially with challenges on the horizon. Stakes rising. Breaking his own rule was not a spontaneous decision. Roman understood the stakes, and his willingness to abandon his personal timeline signaled the seriousness of the moment. The rise of Paul Heyman's faction meant external threats were growing more dangerous by the week, and internal discord could weaken the bloodline beyond repair. Roman's actions were strategic, not emotional. They were about survival, legacy, and ensuring the family's place at the top. Unity, he knew, was the only shield capable of protecting the bloodline from collapse. By stepping forward and demanding resolution, he reinforced his role as both protector and leader, willing to confront even the most uncomfortable truths to preserve what mattered most. The nature of leadership. Leadership is often tested in moments of crisis, and Roman's confrontation with the Usos illustrated exactly that. He had to balance discipline with compassion, authority with patience. By confronting the division head-on, he forced a moment of reckoning. This wasn't about punishment. It was about accountability, mutual responsibility, and preparing for challenges that required collective strength. The ultimatum was simple but profound. Either the brothers put aside differences and act together for the bloodline, or they risk being sidelined permanently. It was a call to prioritize loyalty, unity, and the legacy over personal grievances. The emotional undercurrent. While the confrontation was charged with authority, it was not devoid of emotion. Roman's frustration was tempered by a sense of personal investment in the family's well-being. He understood the weight of his role and the potential consequences of inaction. Seeing the brothers divided was not just a professional concern, it was personal. This duality of responsibility as both a leader and a brother created a tension that made the moment resonate far beyond the confines of the ring. Every word, gesture, and glance carried significance, illustrating how high the stakes truly were. Visual symbols of division. The way Jimmy and Jey emerged separately spoke volumes. Without a shared entrance, the visual cue of division was unmistakable. It underscored that the challenges were not just verbal or strategic, they were structural. Roman's observation of this separation highlighted his role as the arbiter of unity. He was confronting a reality where the family's strength was threatened, not by an outside force alone, but by internal fractures that could undo years of alliance and loyalty. The visual alone amplified the gravity of his decision to break his own rule, preparing for the future. As the confrontation unfolded, it became clear that Roman's decision was about more than resolving a momentary disagreement. Survivor Series loomed on the horizon, and the need for cohesion was urgent. The Bloodline's legacy, power, and future dominance were all at stake. By challenging the Usos directly, Roman forced a choice that would shape the family's trajectory: unite and strengthen the bloodline, or risk weakening it irreparably. This wasn't a matter of ego, it was a calculated move to ensure that when the next big challenge came, the family would stand together, ready to face whatever threats lay ahead. Conclusion. Roman Reigns' confrontation with the Usos marked a turning point. The tribal chief's willingness to abandon his own decree showed that leadership is about protecting what matters, even when it requires difficult decisions. The moment highlighted the delicate balance between authority and responsibility, family loyalty and legacy, unity and personal differences. With Survivor Series approaching, the pressure is only increasing, and the stakes have never been higher. Roman's actions sent a clear signal. The bloodline must stand united, or it risks permanent fracture. In stepping forward, breaking his own rule, and addressing the division head-on, Roman Reigns reminded everyone of the power of decisive leadership, the importance of family, and the consequences of unresolved conflict. This moment is more than a confrontation. It is history in motion, shaping the path of the bloodline and setting the stage for the battles ahead.